Are you genuinely compatible with your significant other, or are you simply staying together out of habit or convenience? Spoiler alert, comfort isn't always a sign of compatibility. Sometimes it can be a red flag waving in your face disguised as it's not so bad. It's not so bad is the equivalent of settling. And though it might seem easy, it often leads to boredom, resentment, potentially cheating, breaking up, heartbreak, and regret over all those wasted years. But even if you are just comfortable, there's a way to fix it so both of you can feel like you've won the relationship jackpot. Let's break it down so you don't find yourself stuck in a Netflix and chill loop with the wrong person for now, or worse, for the rest of your life. We're going to look at 10 key points to avoid the biggest relationship mistakes both men and women make. And if you're new to my channel, my name is Anna Jorgensen. I help good men like you decode modern women so you can find, attract, and keep your keeper, or simply have better relationships with. Welcome to Just the Tip. Let's jump in. Number 10, communication style. Do you really hear each other? All right, compatibility shows up in how you communicate. Can you have deep conversations about your feelings, dreams, fears, and stresses? Or do you avoid conflict and difficult topics just to keep the peace? Or because you don't feel emotionally safe to share your thoughts and feelings? If you find yourself sweeping issues under the rug to avoid conflict, that could be a red flag. True compatibility means being able to tackle tough conversations without the fear of the relationship breaking apart. It's not about agreeing on everything, but respecting each other's perspectives and working through disagreements and difficulties constructively. Just the tip. Men and women are different in some ways. Men tend to deal with stress and problems by doing, while women often prefer talking. Example, if you are feeling stressed about work and you need a night of video games to decompress, and your girlfriend responds with, "Why do you always run away from your problems?" Or, "It'll be fine," just as a way to brush off the topic so you can come out of your cave and pay attention to her. Well, you might feel she's only in it when you're meeting her needs. On the other hand, if she says, "Is there anything you want feedback on?" while you let the situation marinate, or if you need to go and blow off some steam on some digital villains, go do that. That's a woman who understands that sometimes a man needs to release his stress, expunge it through action, activity, or distraction. Ladies, take note. Incompatible communication styles can lead to resentment, with one person feeling ignored and the other feeling misunderstood. To gauge your communication compatibility, try discussing a sensitive topic and see how both of you handle it. If you find growth and better understanding after the conversation, you're likely on the right track. Key point: remember to give each other grace. And give yourself grace for not being perfect. Most of us were not taught how to have healthy communication skills, but we can develop those skills. The key is both being willing to learn. Number 9, shared values or surface level interests. Now, sure, both of you might love Italian food and binge watching thrillers, but do you agree on life's bigger questions? You need more than shared hobbies to build a strong, lasting relationship. Life's bigger questions, like your stance on marriage, kids, religion, politics and finances, and even lifestyle, are what true compatibility are all about. Example, imagine both of you love spontaneous travel and maybe trying new foods. But when it comes to finances, one of you is a saver and the other is a spender. Now, over time, this difference can cause significant tension regardless of how much you enjoy date nights or weekend road trips. Or think about the decision to have children. That's a big one nowadays. If you dream of a big family, but your SO, significant other, is firmly against kids and allergic to the wee beasts, well, no amount of shared TV shows will bridge that gap. Key point: never go for potential, hoping things will magically change in your favor. Solution: it's essential to discuss these major life topics early in the relationship. Compatibility isn't only about loving some of the same things, it's about building a life that aligns with both of your values and your goals. Ask the hard questions and evaluate if your answers point to a shared vision of the future. Number 8, conflict resolution, a battle or a lesson. How do you guys handle disagreements? If every fight feels like Mortal Kombat, comfort might be masking a lack of emotional compatibility. Conflicts are inevitable in any relationship, but how you handle them reveals whether or not you're truly compatible. Do your disagreements lead to constructive conversations, or do they spiral into yelling matches, the silent treatment, or personal attacks? Not good. Example, if one of you tends to shut down and withdraw while the other becomes more confrontational, it can create a cycle of frustration and unresolved tension. Over time, this pattern erodes trust and emotional safety, even if the relationship feels comfortable on the surface. On the flip side, emotionally compatible couples approach conflict with empathy and teamwork. They focus on understanding each other, not winning. So important. So, for instance, instead of saying, "You always do this," say, "I felt disrespected when you did that. We need to talk about it." Solution. If your fights often leave you feeling drained, unsupported, or misunderstood, it's time to evaluate your conflict resolution style. Try setting ground rules for disagreements, avoid name calling, and take breaks when emotions run high, and focus on solutions rather than blame. Key point. It's best to set up these guidelines when you're both in a really good frame of mind, long before you will ever need them, not in the heat of the moment. True compatibility thrives in the ability to navigate challenges together, not just enjoy the easy times. Both of you must have a teammate attitude, not you versus me. 7, connection. No, intimacy. Intimacy and connection. What am I trying to say? Connection or obligation. That's it. Physical and emotional intimacy are cornerstones of compatibility. If one of you is more invested in building a connection, the other one might feel like they're just going through the motions. Now, when intimacy becomes one-sided, it creates a disconnect that comfort alone can't fix. Physical intimacy isn't only about sex. It's about affection, touch, creating a space where both people feel desired and cherished. Emotional intimacy, on the other hand, is about being vulnerable, sharing your inner world despite the risk of judgment, and hopefully feeling understood. Key point. Even though men are biologically wired to think about sex more frequently than women, because they have 10 to 30 times more testosterone coursing through their system, depending on their age, men and women say they enjoy sex more with their special person when there is a deeper physical and emotional connection and intimacy. Example, if you're always the one initiating hugs and kisses and deep conversations, it might start to feel like you're pulling all the weight in building the connection. Over time, this imbalance can lead to frustration, insecurity, or even dissatisfaction on making you question whether your significant other is actually truly invested. On the flip side, compatible teammates make an effort to meet each other's intimacy needs, not perfunctorily or even willingly, but with genuine care. Imagine coming home after a stressful day, and instead of brushing off your mood, your lover takes the time to ask, "What's on your mind?" Or simply holds you and says, "You know what? Let's relax and order in instead of going out tonight. I'll get the takeout menu and meet you on the couch." Solution. If you're noticing a lack of effort, start communicating your needs openly. If you've never had this kind of conversation, it is going to require some vulnerability and therefore courage. You can ask her how she perceives intimacy and what makes her feel connected, which can lead into you sharing your needs. Key point. Sometimes the issue isn't about incompatibility, but a lack of awareness or effort. However, if one of you is unwilling to grow in that area, it might be time to question whether comfort is keeping you in a relationship that lacks true connection, and if you are actually okay with that. 6, future goals on the same path or different highways. Do both of you envision the same kind of life 5 years from now? Or is one of you planning for a big city adventure while the other dreams of a quiet life on the farm. Been there, done that. It's not enough to love someone in the present if your future visions are heading in opposite directions. Misaligned goals can create tension, and as time goes on, even if everything feels fine right now, it won't later. Example, if your dream is to escape the urban grind and settle in a rural area, but the woman you're dating wants to advance her career in a bustling city, well, that could be a major conflict waiting to happen. Initially, you might downplay these differences to avoid rocking the boat. But as time goes on, the gap between your dreams only widens. Another example is financial goals. Maybe you are focused on saving for a big purchase, but she prioritizes spending on experiences like travel or hobbies. Now, while both of your goals are valid, they can lead to resentment if you're not working toward a shared vision. Solution: avoid these pitfalls by having a candid conversation about your long-term plans that are must-haves for you and for her. Ask questions like, where do you see yourself or us living in 5 years? Or what are your career and financial goals? Are you a save to invest or a spend to enjoy kind of person? Key point: compatibility in this area doesn't mean agreeing on every single detail, but finding ways to merge your aspirations into a life you will both be excited about. 5, social circles. Acceptance or isolation. Are your social circles blending, or are you leading parallel lives? Compatibility extends to how your friends and family perceive your relationship and whether or not they support or challenge its dynamics. While it's not necessary for your significant other to adore all your friends or for you and your families to be besties, there should at least be mutual respect and an effort to integrate your worlds. Example: if you constantly avoid your girlfriend's social gatherings or make her feel uncomfortable about spending time with her friends, maybe she's an extrovert, it can create a divide. Similarly, if you don't feel welcome in her social circles or family, it could signal a lack of effort to building a healthy relationship together. On the flip side, compatible couples often find ways to bring their social lives together. Now imagine maybe you plan a surprise dinner with her friends and yours if you have any, because you know how much she values these connections. That's a sign of effort and thoughtfulness. Key point: introverts and extroverts can help each other step out of their respective comfort zones in healthy ways. It takes communication, compassion, and compromise. Life begins outside your comfort zone and mine. Okay, solution: if you're leading parallel lives where social interactions rarely overlap, it's worth exploring why. Is it a scheduling issue, or does one of you feel uneasy about fully integrating? Discuss how important social blending or social space is for both of you and make small efforts to create some overlap, like maybe hosting a joint gathering or finding common activities to enjoy with your respective circles. Compatibility thrives when your relationship feels like a natural extension of your broader life. Question: are you an introvert or an extrovert? Comment. 4, personal growth. Are you growing together or apart? A healthy relationship is designed to push you to be your better self, not stagnate in comfort. Now, if you're not growing together, you are likely growing apart. A healthy, compatible relationship inspires personal development and shared progress, rather than enabling complacency. So, for example, if you're working on improving your health, let's say by hitting the gym or eating better, but your girlfriend constantly discourages you or doesn't support those efforts, it can feel like she's holding you back. Hint: she may feel threatened by your sudden change in behavior to improve yourself. Take note. On the other hand, a secure woman will cheer you on, maybe join you in the journey, or at least respect and encourage your goals. Likewise, think about intellectual growth. Do you have stimulating conversations? Do you share ideas and challenge each other to think differently without being a tyrant, of course? Or do your interactions revolve around the same topics, leaving little or no room for growth? Now, if you're both okay with the latter, that's fine. But if only one of you is pressing for more stimulating conversations, well, that's a potential red flag. Solution: If your relationship does feel stagnant, start setting small mutual goals like learning a new skill together or planning future adventures or maybe even tackling personal challenges with each other's support. True compatibility isn't only about loving who your cuddle buddy is today, it's about growing into the best versions of yourselves side by side together so you both win when the other wins. 3, emotional availability. Open hearts or closed doors? Does your significant other show up emotionally, or do they keep their feelings locked away? Comfort can sometimes mean tolerating emotional unavailability. If you consistently avoid opening up or dismiss her attempts to connect on a deeper level, it can leave her feeling more isolated and unfulfilled, or vice versa. So emotional availability is a brave and key component of compatibility because it builds trust, understanding, and a sense of security in the relationship. Example, imagine you're going through a tough time and need to set some healthy boundaries, but when she asks what's bothering you, you brush it off with, "Nothing, I'm fine." Or you change the subject. Or maybe she does this. Either way, it's a sign of emotional unavailability. Now, on the other hand, compatible mates sit together, listen, or simply offer support without jumping into fix-it mode right away. Sometimes emotional unavailability stems from past trauma or fear of vulnerability, and it doesn't necessarily mean the one you love doesn't care. However, if they're unwilling to work on it and dismiss your needs repeatedly, it can lead to resentment and feeling unheard and underappreciated. Solution: create a safe space for open dialogue. Share your thoughts and encourage your lady to do the same. If she struggles with vulnerability, as some women do, suggest resources like therapy or self-help books. There are tons of books on the topic. The one I'm recommending right now is titled The Origins of You by Vienna Ferrone. I'll put it there. Ultimately, true compatibility means connecting emotionally, not just coexisting in a comfy routine. Question: are you the type to open up, or does that scare the crap out of you? All right, 2, decision making. A team effort or a solo mission? Do you feel like a teammate when making big decisions? Or does one of you always take the lead? Now, if one person consistently dominates decision making while the other feels sidelined, it can create an imbalance that undermines the foundation of your relationship. Mutual consideration in decision making reflects respect and shared responsibility. However, this one is tricky for men because women naturally need a man to lead. However, key point, if a man doesn't lead, the woman will. As my longtime subscribers know, mother mode suppresses passionate lover mode. Okay, so for example, she decides on major things like where to live, how to spend money, or even what to eat without consulting you. And it starts to feel like your opinions don't even matter. She feels like she's in mom mode and you feel like a child. Over time, this dynamic can lead to resentment for both of you, for her because she's in constant mother mode, and for you because you have an unnatural sense of powerlessness, even if the relationship seems comfortable. Solution: first, leading isn't about being a dictator. For instance, when considering a big purchase, like a car or planning a vacation, you tell her your plan and then you ask her, "What are your thoughts?" Or, "Does this work for you?" This provides a leadership plan while ensuring her voice is heard and valued. Key point: for a woman who has been in boss babe mom mode for an extended period of time, you will likely receive some resistance from her. It'll take time for her to learn to trust your leadership skills again. Give each other grace. So, if you feel like the child in the relationship, start small. Bring up a decision you would like to be more involved in and express why it's important to you. If she's receptive and makes adjustments, it's a positive sign. But if she dismisses your concerns or refuses to share some decision-making power, it might be a red flag. Now, just before I reveal a number 1 potential incompatibility, if you have found value in this video, please give it a like. Thank you. Consider sharing it. That really helps my channel. Thank you. All right, number 1. How do they handle your flaws? Compatibility means embracing each other's imperfections without resentment. When you're truly compatible, you don't expect perfection from the one you love. After all, you are not perfect either. But rather, you embrace their flaws as cute quirks with patience and understanding, even though, yes, at times you may feel irritated. Every person has their own set of habits, attitudes, and behaviors that can drive you crazy or make you love them more. Compatibility is about finding peace in accepting these imperfections without harboring resentment or constantly trying to change the other person. Example, maybe you tend to leave your dirty laundry around or forget important dates, and it drives her nuts. If you're emotionally compatible, you'll find ways to handle it without turning it into a major issue. She might remind you gently rather than with frustration, or even find humor in the situation. Ladies, gently. We interrupt this program to bring you a joke. Why do women outlive men? Because women nag them to death. Sorry. Okay, now we resume regular programming. Key point, we all do better with gentle reminders and positive encouragement for good behavior instead of being nagged or punished for bad behavior. On the other hand, if one of you is constantly irritated by the other's flaws and it brings it up in every argument, well, that can create a toxic cycle of resentment. The small things that were once endearing start to feel like a burden, and what once felt like comfort becomes a ticking time bomb. Solution. True compatibility means accepting each other as a whole, flaws and all. It's about learning how to navigate the differences in a way that strengthens your bond rather than causes friction. If you find yourself always pointing out what's wrong with your partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, man, husband, wife, whatever, it might be time to reflect on whether you're really embracing them or if you're simply not that compatible. Comfort might feel good, but it's not the glue that makes a relationship stick. True compatibility requires shared goals, values, and a willingness to grow together. And if you're feeling stuck, you need to ask yourself, are you in love with the person or the idea of being with someone? It's better to confront these questions now than look back in 5 years or 5 decades wondering where the spark went. Now, let me know in the comments, are you compatible or just comfortable? And which of these points resonated the most for you? Did I miss anything? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs it. That really helps my channel. Lots of love. God bless. Thank you.